What's going on, my exotic family? Welcome back to another video. Hope everybody enjoyed your Easter. So today's video, we're gonna go ahead and do debunking myths video. Now I did a video, it was one of my videos early on to my channel. So we're gonna go ahead and call this video Debunking Reptile Myths Part 2. Stay tuned. Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to the video. So we're gonna go ahead and jump right into it with our first myth, which for me, this first myth is more of just a flat out lie. It's snakes only need to eat once or twice a year. That just doesn't make any sense. And it's just crazy because speaking of these myths, you hear myths like this from a lot of the people that I hear myths like this from are people that have never even owned snakes before or never even owned a reptile. It's just they're going off of what they read on the internet or going off of what they heard someone say. But that myth is completely false. Snakes need to eat once, twice, 3, 4, whatever the schedule may be. Is definitely more than once or twice a year. Depending on the size, the age, and species of your snake, it may be once a week, bi-weekly, or maybe once a month. So that's definitely completely false. So just a perfect example of do your own research, and you can't read everything you can't believe everything you read online, and also you can't just take someone's word for it, especially if you've never owned any of these animals. It just doesn't make any sense. So myth number 2 is reptiles always give you salmonella. False. If that was the case, everybody in the reptile community would have salmonella because 99.9% of us free handle our reptiles. We interact with them, we touch them on a fairly daily basis, and it kind of goes without saying. Wash your hands. I mean, just like any animal, you can contract any viruses or diseases from any animal if you're being reckless enough. Do we know they're carriers of salmonella? Yes, that is true. However, if you're not washing your hands and being clean and just being reckless with your health and your hygiene, yeah, that definitely can happen. It's just like if you don't cook your chicken thoroughly, you can get salmonella, which, if we're being honest, it has been proven that you are more likely to get salmonella from raw chicken than any reptile. Myth number 3, reptiles need friends in order to be happy. False. Reptiles actually like to be alone. It actually stresses them out more when they are forced to cohab, which is why you see a lot of people who cohab and then one animal stops eating or they start fighting. It just causes too much stress, and why would you want to put that type of stress on an animal just for your own personal enjoyment? I've said this before, reptiles are solitary creatures. Can they be social? Yes, but it's not something that they rely on in order to thrive. So I think that's something important that people need to understand about these creatures. These creatures are perfectly fine living solitary lives. That's what they do in the wild. They don't usually live in groups or anything like that. They kind of do their own thing. It does happen on TV. I know you'll see a lot of reptiles usually will be in groups if they're mating, but for the most part, they like to be alone. Okay, this next one is just completely stupid, and I've actually heard this in person before, and I even get asked this a lot on Instagram, and it's, can snakes survive on a vegan or vegetarian diet? Or the question I get asked is, why don't you feed your snakes a salad or something? And it's just like, are you serious right now? If you know anything about snakes, you do know that snakes need a certain level of nutrients in order to survive. Just like lions, you're not going to go feed a lion a salad knowing good well they want meat. That's what they eat. They're carnivores. That's the reason why we have the term carnivore. It's meat eaters, and that's exactly what snakes are. You can make your snake vegan or vegetarian, sure, if you want them to die. It doesn't make any sense. They don't have the body to handle those particular nutrients. They're not going to eat leaves or anything. At the end of the day, they're carnivores. They eat rats, mice, pigs, whatever they can eat, depending on the snake. That's what they eat. I mean, that's period, point blank. Dumbest question I've ever heard. Milk snakes don't drink milk, and corn snakes don't eat corn. That's plain and simple. They eat rats, mice, rodents, whatever it is. That's what they eat. Sorry. Next myth is turtles and tortoises cannot feel their shell. They actually can, and it's kind of sad that some people, there's stories online where you see some people have actually drilled holes into their turtle shell for whatever reason. I don't know why. I don't know. I'm not even trying to wrap my mind around it, but it's just like us. Our head, it's hard, it's solid. However, if you knock on it, we can still feel it, and it does, depending on how hard you do it, it does inflict some level of pain. And it's the same with turtles and tortoises. I feel like at the end of the day, some of these myths, some of these questions is just crazy. Like, why would you knock on a turtle shell? Why would you, feel like you can cause that animal some type of harm? It's just like, with a fish tank, they tell you not to tap on the glass because it stresses the fish out. It's the same thing for animals, and I just feel like if we take these common ideals and apply them to everything, you really won't have some of these problems. But then again, you always have those people that just don't get it. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. But the final and last myth, this one actually is fair for people who don't know much about reptiles. They would ask this question, and a lot of people actually assume snakes do not have bones, which is false. They have vertebrae, so if they have vertebrae, that means they have spine, which means they have bones. Most snakes usually have 400 to 500 bones. I know a lot in the reptile community, we say this snake is all muscle, and figuratively they are, because they use a lot of their muscle to move around, a lot of their muscle to eat, and just a lot of their muscle because they don't have legs. However, they still have bones, just like we have bones, which protect our organs. Theirs is the same thing. So they do have bones at the end of the day. No, they're not all muscle. That would be like kind of like a worm, I suppose. But that was it, guys. 6 myths debunked. I actually got these myths. I was searching actually what inspired this video is actually on the internet, and I was just looking at different snakes that were available for sale or whatever like that, and I came across this website, and it was just like answering some of these questions that people were asking about reptiles, and some of the answers didn't make any sense. So I just figured I'd do this video. I pulled some of the questions that were asked on that website, and answered them in the video for you guys. But some of the myths and some of the things that people believe about these animals is just crazy. Which brings me to my next point. There's a quote that I actually have in my bio on Instagram by Steve Irwin, and it says, "The only difference between scary and beautiful is knowledge." And I feel like that's important, because the more you don't know about something, the more you're going to be intimidated or scared of it, because you're not educated on it. Versus if you're educated on it and you get to understand that particular topic, it's not as bad, because then you know how to approach it, but also you know what to expect. But that's it for today's video. 6 myths. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, drop a comment, stay clean, stay exotic.